unlimited drama series.
When Aldous read the messages between me and Lyle, he looked at me like I'd set the house on fire. But honestly, the flames started a long time ago. He just never noticed. I'm not going to lie and say I'm sorry, because I'm not. Not really. Everyone thinks I'm this terrible person, but they don't understand what it's like to live with someone who treats you like furniture. Aldous came home every day at 6:30, ate whatever I put in front of him, grunted a few words, and planted himself in front of the TV until bedtime. When's the last time he told me I looked nice? When's the last time he actually looked at me? The affair started at his family's 4th of July barbecue last summer. His cousin Lyle was there, charming as always, making everyone laugh with his stories about the crazy deliveries he made around town. While Aldous was in the corner talking shop with his dad about air conditioning units, Lyle was asking me about my job at the grocery store, actually listening when I complained about difficult customers. "You're too good for that place, Arinthia," he said, refilling my wine glass. "You're too good for a lot of things." I should have walked away. I should have gone to find my husband. Instead, I let Lyle's hand brush mine when he handed me the glass. I let him compliment my dress, my hair, the way I laughed. For the first time in years, someone was paying attention to me. The texting started a week later. Innocent at first, Lyle asking how my day went, sending funny memes, remembering little things I'd mentioned. Then it got more personal, more intimate. By September, we were meeting during my lunch breaks, talking in his delivery truck behind the shopping center. "Your husband doesn't deserve you," Lyle would say, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear. "He doesn't see how amazing you are." And he was right. Aldous didn't see me, hadn't seen me in years. The physical part happened in October. I told myself it was just once, just to feel wanted again. But once became twice, then 3 times, then I stopped counting. Lyle made me feel alive in ways I'd forgotten were possible. He called me beautiful, told me I was the best part of his day, made me remember who I used to be before I became just Aldous' wife and Dinah's mom. I was careful. I deleted texts, made excuses for my lunch breaks, bought new underwear, and hid it in the back of my drawer. For months, I lived a double life, and honestly, I was happier than I'd been in years. But last Tuesday night, everything fell apart. I was loading the dishwasher when my phone buzzed on the counter. Aldous was right there, reaching for his coffee mug, when he saw the notification. Lyle's name on the screen, with a preview of his message. "Can't wait to hold you again, Angel?" "Nah." The mug slipped from Aldous' hand and shattered on the kitchen floor. "Angel?" he said, his voice barely a whisper. "Why is Lyle calling you Angel?" I could have lied, should have lied. But something in his face, this look of complete shock, like he'd never considered the possibility that I might have needs, desires, a whole inner life he knew nothing about, made me angry. "Because he actually notices I exist," I said. Aldous stared at me for a long moment. Then he picked up my phone. I didn't try to stop him. Part of me was relieved, actually. Tired of sneaking around, tired of pretending everything was fine when it wasn't. Let him see. Let him finally pay attention to me, even if it was too late. He scrolled through months of messages. His face went from confused to hurt to disgusted. When he got to the photos Lyle had sent, nothing explicit, just selfies with sweet captions. Aldous set the phone down like it was contaminated. "How long?" he asked. "Does it matter?" "How long?" "Since October." He ran his hands through his hair, pacing around the kitchen, stepping over the broken mug pieces. "My cousin. My own cousin." "Don't act like you care," I said. "You haven't touched me in months. You barely look at me. What did you expect?" "I expected you to talk to me, not screw my family." "When? When was I supposed to talk to you? Between your 12-hour workdays and your TV shows? When you're snoring on the couch every night?" Aldous stopped pacing and looked at me. Really looked at me, for the first time in I don't know how long. But it wasn't the look I'd been craving. It was pure disgust. "You make me sick," he said quietly. "Don't touch me. Don't even come near me." That's when 8-year-old Dinah appeared in the doorway, rubbing her eyes. "Mommy, Daddy, why are you yelling?" "Go back to bed, sweetheart," I said. But Aldous was already walking toward her. "Come on, baby girl. Let's get you tucked in." As he led Dinah away, she looked back at me with confused, frightened eyes. I wanted to follow them, to explain. But I heard Aldous' voice from upstairs. "Daddy and Mommy are having some problems right now, but it's not your fault, okay? None of this is your fault." I cleaned up the broken mug and waited. When Aldous came back downstairs, he had his phone in his hand. "I'm calling my parents," he said. "We're going over there tomorrow night, all of us, to set things straight." "You don't need to involve them." I don't need to? You involved my cousin. You involved my whole family the second you decided to cheat with Lyle." My phone buzzed. Another message from Lyle. "Everything okay? You seem quiet tonight." Aldous saw the notification, and his jaw tightened. "Turn it off. I don't want to see his name in my house." But I didn't turn it off. Later, after Aldous had locked himself in the guest room, I texted Lyle back. "Aldous knows. Family meeting tomorrow. This is going to get ugly." His response came immediately. "Want me to come over? We can figure this out together." For a moment, I considered it. Lyle rushing to my rescue, standing up to my husband, proving that someone actually cared about my feelings. But then I thought about Dinah upstairs, probably lying awake, wondering why her parents were fighting, and I typed back, "Not tonight. I'll call you tomorrow." The next evening, we drove to Edwin and Petra's house, in complete silence. Dinah sat in the back seat, clutching her stuffed rabbit, sensing the tension even though she didn't understand it. I'd spent all day at work trying to figure out what to say, how to explain myself to people who'd never understand. My coworkers had noticed something was wrong. "You look terrible," said Janet from customer service. "Everything okay at home?" I wanted to tell her, wanted to explain that sometimes marriages die slowly, that sometimes you find connection in unexpected places, that it's not as simple as everyone makes it seem. Instead, I just said I had a headache and focused on scanning groceries and making change. But now, walking up to my in-laws' front door, I felt strangely calm. Let them judge me, let them act shocked and horrified. At least someone would finally be paying attention to my feelings, even if it was negative attention. Edwin answered the door with a grim expression. Petra stood behind him, her eyes already red from crying. Marin, Aldous' younger sister, sat on the couch with her arms crossed, glaring at me like I'd personally offended her. "Sit down, Orinthia," Edwin said, his voice colder than I'd ever heard it. We arranged ourselves in the living room, like we were attending a funeral. Dinah curled up next to me on the love seat, and I put my arm around her, grateful for the contact. At least my daughter still wanted to be near me. "Aldous told us what you did," Petra said, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. I can't understand it. Lyle is family. He's been to our house for every holiday, every birthday. How could you do this to us?" "I didn't do anything to you," I said. "This is between me and Aldous." "Like hell it is," Marin snapped. "You involved our cousin. You made our whole family part of your drama. Your family ignored me for years. Aldous ignored me. I was lonely, and Lyle was kind to me. I'm sorry you don't like it, but I'm not going to apologize for finding someone who actually cared about my feelings." Edwin stood up abruptly. "Your feelings? What about your daughter's feelings? What about your marriage vows? What about basic decency? Don't lecture me about decency. Your son treated me like a roommate, not a wife. When's the last time he brought me flowers? When's the last time he planned a date, or told me he loved me, or did anything to make me feel like I mattered?" "So you cheated," Petra said quietly. "Instead of working on your marriage, you cheated." "I tried to work on it. I tried for years. Aldous didn't want to work on anything. He wanted to come home, eat dinner, and watch TV. Well, congratulations. Now he can do that without me bothering him." Dinah looked up at me. "Mommy, are you and Daddy getting divorced?" The room went silent. I felt everyone's eyes on me, waiting to see how I'd handle this moment, whether I'd finally show some remorse or consideration for my child. "I don't know, sweetheart. That's up to Daddy." Aldous leaned forward. "It's up to both of us. But right now, I can't even stand to look at you, let alone live with you." "Fine," I said. "Maybe we'll both be happier apart." Marin made a disgusted noise. "You're unbelievable. Your husband finds out you're cheating with..." with his cousin, and you're acting like you're the victim. I am a victim. I'm a victim of years of neglect and indifference. Just because I finally did something about it doesn't make me the bad guy." "Yes, it does," Edwin said firmly. "It absolutely does. You broke your vows. You betrayed your family. You chose the most hurtful possible person to have an affair with. And now you're sitting here acting like it's everyone else's fault. My phone buzzed. A text from Lyle. How's it going? Need me to come get you? I glanced at it quickly, but Aldous saw. He's texting you? Right now? In front of our daughter? I turned the phone face down. He's just checking on me. Turn it off, Aldous said. No! Turn off the goddamn phone, Arinthia. You don't get to tell me what to do anymore. That's when Edwin exploded. Get out of my house. Get out right now. Edwin, Petra said, reaching for his arm. No. I won't have this woman disrespecting our family in our own home. You want to destroy your marriage? Fine. But you won't do it here, in front of your daughter. I stood up, pulling Dinah with me. Come on, baby. We're leaving. But Dinah pulled away from me and ran to Aldous. I want to stay with Daddy. My heart broke a little. Dinah, come with Mommy. No, you're being mean to Daddy. I looked around the room at all their faces. Edwin's anger, Petra's disappointment, Marin's disgust, Aldis's hurt, and my own daughter choosing her father over me. For the first time since this whole thing started, I felt a flicker of doubt. But then I remembered all those lonely nights, all those years of feeling invisible, all the times I'd tried to connect with Aldous only to be brushed off or ignored. I remembered how alive Lyle made me feel, how seen and appreciated and desired. Fine, I said. Stay with your perfect family. But remember, I'm not the only one who made mistakes in this marriage. I walked out, slamming the door behind me. In the driveway, I called Lyle. Come pick me up, I said when he answered. I need to get out of here. 20 minutes later, I was in his delivery truck, crying into his shoulder while he stroked my hair. They're all against me, I sobbed. Even my own daughter. They don't understand, Lyle said. They don't know what it's like to be married to someone who doesn't appreciate you. But I do. I see you, Arinthia. I see how amazing you are. For that moment, sitting in his truck outside my in-laws' house, I felt validated. Someone was on my side. Someone understood. But the feeling didn't last long. The next few days were a nightmare. I stayed with my sister Ellen, sleeping on her couch and listening to her lectures about responsibility and consequences. My mother, Sibylla, called every few hours to ask what I was planning to do about this mess. You need to fix this, she said during one particularly painful conversation. Apologize to Aldous, end things with Lyle, and fix your marriage. Why should I apologize? I'm not the only one who did things wrong. You're the one who cheated, Arinthia. You're the one who broke your vows. And he's the one who ignored me for years. He's the one who stopped trying. Marriage is work. You don't just give up and find someone else when things get hard. But I wasn't ready to hear that. I wasn't ready to admit that maybe, just maybe, I'd made the wrong choice. At work, the gossip was unbearable. Someone had seen me getting into Lyle's truck, and word spread quickly through the small staff. I could feel their eyes on me, hear their whispered conversations that stopped when I walked by. Did you hear about Arinthia, with her husband's cousin? That's so messed up. I always thought she seemed selfish. I wanted to quit, to disappear, to start over somewhere else. But I needed the job, especially now that my marriage was falling apart. The worst part was Dinah. Aldous brought her by Alun's apartment to pick up some of her clothes, and she barely looked at me. How's school, sweetheart? I asked, trying to sound normal. Fine. Do you miss Mommy? She shrugged. Daddy makes better pancakes. It was a small thing, but it cut deep. Even my 8-year-old daughter was choosing Aldous over me. That night, Lyle came over to Alun's place. My sister made herself scarce, but not before giving him a look that could have frozen hell. This is harder than I thought it would be, I told him as we sat on the couch. Everyone hates me. They'll get over it, he said, pulling me close. Once the shock wears off, they'll see that you and Aldous weren't happy. They'll understand. What if they don't? What if I lose Dinah? You won't lose her. You're her mother. But even as he said it, I could hear the uncertainty in his voice. And for the first time since this all started, I wondered if the price of my happiness was too high. The next week, everything got worse. Dinah had a school play, and I wasn't going to miss it. I arrived at the auditorium to find Aldous' entire family there. Edwin, Petra, Marin, even some cousins I barely knew. They'd claimed a whole row, and when I walked in, the temperature seemed to drop 10 degrees. I found a seat by myself in the back, trying to focus on my daughter on stage, instead of the hostile stares from Aldous' family. Dinah was playing a flower in the spring pageant, and she looked beautiful in her yellow costume. During intermission, Marin approached me. You have some nerve showing up here, she said quietly. She's my daughter. Is she? Because from what I hear, You've been too busy with Lyle to pay much attention to her lately. That's not true, isn't it? When's the last time you helped her with homework? When's the last time you tucked her in? Face it, Orinthia. You checked out of being a mother the same time you checked out of being a wife. I wanted to argue. But deep down, I knew she was partly right. The last few months, I'd been distracted, focused on Lyle, on my own needs, on feeling alive again. I told myself I was doing it for Dinah too, that she deserved a happy mother. But had I really been thinking about her at all? You don't know what you're talking about, I said finally. I know you're destroying this family. I know my brother is miserable, and your daughter is confused and scared. I know you're being selfish and cruel, and I know you don't even care. I do care. No, you
I saw her get in. I saw everything.
Let me explain.
Watch more on Grammarly.com.
don't. If you cared, you'd stop this nonsense and try to fix your marriage. But you won't, because that would require you to actually think about someone other than yourself. She walked away before I could respond, leaving me alone in the back of the auditorium, feeling smaller than I had in years. After the play, I tried to approach Dinah to congratulate her, but Aldous intercepted me. Don't, he said quietly. Just don't. She's upset enough already. I'm her mother. Then act like it. I watched them leave together, my husband and daughter, surrounded by his loving, supportive family. And I went home alone to my sister's couch. That night, I called Lyle. I don't know if I can do this anymore, I told him. Maybe this was a mistake. Don't say that. We're good together, Orinthia. We make each other happy. But at what cost? I'm losing my daughter. I've lost my whole life. You're not losing anything that was really yours to begin with. Aldous never appreciated you. His family never accepted you. You're just seeing things clearly now. But I wasn't sure anymore. Sitting in my sister's dark apartment, missing my daughter's bedtime routine, and the familiar sounds of my own house, I wondered if clarity was worth this much pain. The breaking point came 2 weeks later. I arrived at my house, my former house, to pick up more clothes, and found that Aldous had changed the locks. There was a manila envelope on the doorstep with my name on it. Now the inside were divorce papers and a custody petition. Aldous was asking for full custody of Dinah, citing moral unfitness and emotional instability on my part. There was also a restraining order preventing me from coming to the house without supervision. I called him immediately. How dare you, I said when he answered. How dare you try to take my daughter away from me? You took yourself away from her, he said calmly. I'm just making it official. I made one mistake. You made a series of choices. You chose Lyle over your family. You chose your own desires over your daughter's well-being. You chose to lie and sneak around instead of working on our problems. These aren't mistakes, Orinthia. This is who you are. That's not true. Now, Dinsnup, even now, are you calling to apologize? Are you calling to say you'll end things with Lyle and try to fix our marriage? Or are you calling to yell at me for finally standing up for myself and our daughter? Now to homie, I didn't answer, because we both knew the truth. Now the inside, that's what I thought, he said, and hung up. I called Lyle, sobbing. Now the insnump, he's trying to take Dinah away from me. He's filed for full custody. We'll fight it, Lyle said. We'll get a lawyer. We'll show them that you're a good mother. With what money? I work at a grocery store, Lyle. I can't afford the kind of lawyer Aldous can. Then we'll figure something else out. Maybe we should leave town, start fresh somewhere else. I can't leave without Dinah. So we'll take her with us. That's kidnapping. It's protecting your relationship with your daughter. For a moment, I actually considered it. Running away with Lyle and Dinah, starting over in some distant city where no one knew our story. But then I thought about what that would do to Dinah. Ripping her away from her father, her school, her friends, her whole life. I can't do that to her, I said. Then what are you going to do? I didn't know. For the first time since this whole thing started, I had no idea what to do next. The answer came a few days later, in the worst possible way. Dinah had an allergic reaction at school, something she ate at lunch, and was rushed to the hospital. A loon called me at work, and I drove there as fast as I could, my heart pounding with fear. I arrived to find the waiting room full of familiar faces. Aldous, his parents, Marin, even my own mother and sister. Everyone who mattered in Dinah's life, gathered together in crisis, except they weren't gathered together. There was a clear divide in the room. Aldous's family on one side, mine on the other, and me standing alone in the middle. How is she? I asked. She's fine, Aldous said without looking at me. They gave her an EpiPen, and she's responding well. Can I see her? The doctor said only immediate family for now. I am immediate family. I'm her mother. Edwin stood up. You lost the right to call yourself her mother when you decided your affair was more important than your family. And that's not fair. Fair? Petra's voice was shaking. You want to talk about fair? Is it fair that this little girl has to deal with her parents' divorce because her mother couldn't keep her legs closed? The waiting room went silent. Even my own mother looked shocked at Petra's bluntness. Don't talk to me like that, I said. I'll talk to you however I want. You destroyed this family. You hurt my son. You confused that little girl. And you have the nerve to stand here acting like you're the victim. I never meant for any of this to happen. But you did it anyway, Marin said. You kept doing it, even when you saw how much it was hurting everyone. That's when Lyle walked in. The tension in the room became unbearable. Aldous stood up slowly, his hands clenched into fists. Get out, he said quietly. I heard about Dinah, Lyle said. I wanted to make sure she was okay. Get out. Aldous, man, I know you're angry. You don't get to call me man. You don't get to pretend we're still family. You slept with my wife. Your wife was lonely. Your wife needed someone who actually paid attention to her. That's when Aldous snapped. He lunged at Lyle, and it took Edwin and 2 orderlies to pull them apart. The whole waiting room erupted. People shouting, Petra crying, my mother trying to drag me away from the chaos. In the middle of it all, a small voice cut through the noise. Mommy! Dinah was standing in the doorway with a nurse, still pale from her reaction, but awake and alert. She looked around the room at all the angry adults, her eyes wide with fear and confusion. Why is everyone yelling? The room went quiet again. All of us, the feuding adults who claimed to love this little girl, stared at her, realizing what we'd just put her through. I walked over to her, ignoring everyone else. Hi, sweetheart, how are you feeling? Scared, she said quietly. Are you and Daddy still fighting? I looked back at Aldous, at his family, at the mess we'd all made. We're working things out, baby. But Dinah wasn't stupid. She could see the truth in all our faces. I want to go home with Daddy, she said. It was the final blow. My own daughter, choosing her father over me in front of everyone who mattered. Choosing stability over chaos, love over selfishness, family over the woman who'd torn that family apart. Okay, I whispered. You go home with Daddy. I kissed her forehead and walked out of the hospital, leaving behind the wreckage of everything I'd once cared about. In the parking lot, Lyle caught up with me. Orinthia, wait. Leave me alone, Lyle. We can still make this work. We can still be together. I turned around and really looked at him for the first time in months. This man I'd risked everything for, this person I'd thought understood me better than anyone, and I realized I barely knew him at all. What do you want from me, Lyle? I want us to be together. I want to make you happy. Why? The question seemed to surprise him. Because I love you. Do you? Or do you just love the idea of taking something away from Aldous? That's not, isn't it? You've always been jealous of him. The steady job, the wife, the kid, the respect from your family. I was just another thing he had that you wanted. Lyle's face changed, and for a moment I saw something ugly there. Something that confirmed what I'd just said. You're upset, he said finally. You don't mean that. I mean every word. This was never about love, was it? This was about you getting back at Aldous for having a better life than you. And what was it about for you? He asked, his voice turning cold. Because it sure wasn't about love either. It was about you feeling sorry for yourself and wanting someone to tell you how special you are. The truth of it hit me like a physical blow. He was right. I'd been just as selfish as he was, just as petty and small and cruel. You're right, I said. We deserve each other. So let's be together. Let's stop pretending this was about anything noble and just be together. But I couldn't. Looking at him, I saw everything I'd become. Selfish, destructive, willing to hurt the people I claimed to love for the sake of my own gratification. And I couldn't stand it anymore. No, I said. I'm done. We're done. Orinthia, stay away from me, Lyle. Stay away from my family. Find someone else to help you feel better about your pathetic life. I got in my car and drove away, leaving him standing alone in the hospital parking lot. But I didn't drive to Alun's apartment. I didn't know where to go anymore. I'd burned every bridge, alienated everyone who'd ever cared about me, lost my daughter and my husband and my home. I ended up at a park near my old house, sitting on a bench where I used to bring Dinah to play. It was getting dark, and I could see lights coming on in the houses around the park. Families having dinner, helping with homework, living the normal life I'd thrown away. My phone rang. It was my sister. "Where are you?" she asked. "Mom's worried." "I'm at Morrison Park." "Come home. We need to talk." "I don't think I can do this anymore," Alund. "Do what?" Any of it. I've lost everything. My daughter hates me. My husband won't even look at me. His family wants me dead. And the man I threw it all away for just admitted he never really loved me. So what are you going to do about it?" It was such a simple question, but I didn't have an answer. For months, I'd been reacting to loneliness, to Lyle's attention, to Aldous' anger, to everyone's judgment. I'd never stopped to think about what I actually wanted, what I was willing to fight for, what kind of person I wanted to be. "I don't know," I said honestly. "Well, you better figure it out, because feeling sorry for yourself isn't going to fix anything." She hung up, leaving me alone with my thoughts. I sat on that bench for hours, watching the park empty out as families went home for the night. I thought about my marriage, about all the ways Aldous and I had failed each other. I thought about Dinah, about the fear in her eyes when she saw all the adults in her life fighting. I thought about the person I used to be, before I became so focused on what I wasn't getting that I forgot about what I had. By the time I finally went back to Alun's apartment, I'd made a decision. The next morning, I called Aldous. "I want to see Dinah," I said. "The custody hearing is next week. We can discuss visitation then." I'm not talking about visitation. I'm talking about what's best for her." There was a long pause. "What do you mean?" "I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe she's better off with you. Orinthia, I'm not giving up my rights as her mother, but I'm not going to fight you for custody either. She needs stability, and you can give her that better than I can right now." "What's the catch?" "No catch. I just want to be able to see her sometimes, when she's ready. When I've figured out how to be the kind of mother she deserves." Another pause. "What about Lyle?" "There is no Lyle. That's over." "For how long?" "Forever. It was a mistake from the beginning. A stupid, selfish mistake that cost me everything that actually mattered." I could hear him breathing on the other end of the line, processing what I'd said. "I'll talk to my lawyer," he said finally. "We can work something out." "Thank you." Orinthia?" "Yeah? I'm sorry too. I know I wasn't the best husband. I know I took you for granted. It was the closest thing to an apology I was going to get, and maybe the closest thing to one I deserved." "It doesn't matter now," I said. "What matters is Dinah. We worked out an arrangement. I could see Dinah every other weekend, supervised visits at first, with the possibility of more time as she got comfortable with the new situation. It wasn't what I wanted, but it was what I'd earned." The divorce was finalized 3 months later. I moved into a small apartment across town, started seeing a therapist, and tried to figure out how to rebuild my life from scratch. Dinah was hesitant with me at first, but gradually she started to relax during our visits. We'd go to movies, have lunch, talk about school and her friends. I didn't try to explain what had happened or justify my choices. I just tried to be present, to listen, to be the mother she needed me to be now. It wasn't enough to undo the damage I'd done, but it was a start. As for Lyle, I heard through the grapevine that he'd moved to another state, found a new job, probably a new woman to charm and deceive. I felt nothing when I heard the news. No sadness, no regret, no relief, just nothing. The hardest part was living with the knowledge of who I really was. Not the victim I'd convinced myself I was, but someone capable of tremendous selfishness and cruelty. Someone who'd been willing to destroy her family for the sake of feeling desired. But maybe that knowledge was necessary. Maybe I needed to see myself clearly before I could become someone worth being. 6 months after the divorce, I ran into Aldous at Dinah's school play. We nodded politely, asked about each other's lives in the careful way of people who'd once shared everything and now shared only a child. "She's doing well," he said, watching Dinah on stage. "She looks happy." "She is, finally." It stung, but it was true. Dinah was happier now, more settled, more secure. She had her father's steady presence, her grandparents' love, her aunt's fierce protection. She had everything she needed, including a mother who was slowly learning how to put her daughter's needs before her own. After the play, Dinah ran up to both of us, her face glowing with excitement. "Did you see me? Did you see my solo? You were amazing," I told her, and meant it. "Are you coming to the cast party?" she asked. I looked at Aldous, who shrugged. "If you want to." So I went. I sat at a different table, talked to different parents, watched my daughter celebrate with her classmates. I didn't try to insert myself into Aldous's conversations or pretend we were still a family, but I was there, present, participating in my daughter's life in whatever way she'd let me. It wasn't the life I'd planned. It wasn't the happy ending I'd imagined when I first started texting Lyle back. But it was honest. It was real. And maybe, eventually, it would be enough. As I drove home that night, I thought about the woman I'd been a year ago, so focused on what was missing from her life that she couldn't see what was actually there. So convinced she deserved more that she threw away what she had. That woman would probably look at my life now and see failure. A broken marriage, a small apartment, limited time with her child. The judgment of everyone who knew her story. But I saw something different. I saw the possibility of redemption. Not the kind where everyone forgives you and pretends nothing happened, but the kind where you learn to live with the consequences of your choices and try to do better going forward. I saw a woman who'd finally stopped making excuses and started taking responsibility. And MAYBE, T hey T double V S double O A T hex O M E T han JFTEA hey la la.